Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's LChat on 9 creative ways to diversify income for your business. I'm so excited to see so many of you tuning in live today, and I can see in the comments that we have people tuning in from all over the world: India, Montana, Southern California, Dallas, Colorado, and Mexico. So excited to see you all tuning in today. Before I go any further, my cat just jumped up on my desk. You can see that these are very informal webinars each week, but I want to make sure that you all can see me and hear me okay. So if you could just let me know by leaving a quick comment in the comment section. Thank you, Paige. I appreciate it. Awesome. So we are going to talk about money today, which sometimes can be an uncomfortable topic, but you can't really run your business without it. And really, money is what separates a business from a hobby. So today we're going to talk about some different ways, 9 of them to be exact, for how you can diversify your income and make money through your business. So I'm excited to dive into that content and answer a lot of your questions. If you haven't found this section already, how many of you are tuning into an LChat for the first time? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to see how many of you are new to these LChat webinars. Awesome. So glad that you all are tuning in today. Well, I use Crowdcast and I love using this platform. Looks like you've already found the comment section, but right underneath this window, there is a questions and answers section. And so that's a great place for you to leave questions right now if you have them. Throughout the webinar, if you have questions, feel free to leave them there. You can also look through the questions that have already been asked and vote them up if you want to see them answered. And I'll leave about 15, maybe 20 minutes at the end of the webinar to go through and answer as many of those as I can. And I will answer them in order of the number of votes. So as you vote, it'll push it up toward the top of that window, and I'll answer them in order. I also went ahead and dropped a poll in the polls section. I want to know how many streams of income you currently have for your business. Some of you don't have any yet. You're working on them. A lot of you have 1 stream of income. Votes are coming in. Some of you have 2. No one has 3 or more than 4. And I'm not surprised by that, or you probably wouldn't be joining in on this webinar today. And some of you might not need to have 3 or 4 or more sources of income either. So that's awesome. If you haven't already, feel free to go and drop your vote in the polls section. So that's it for this window and this screen. I'm going to go ahead and just dive right into the content. Let me pull these slides up. Okay. So 9 creative ways to diversify your business income. But why bother diversifying? Why is this an important topic? A couple reasons: stability, consistency, and growth. So a lot of times if you just have 1 stream of income, many of you offer services, and that is great. But with services, it's hard to create stable, consistent income unless you have your process really streamlined and you are able to book clients really easily. Your income is going to fluctuate. And some of you might be at a point in your business where clients are coming in, but it's really unstable. You don't know when they're coming in, and you just don't have that consistent income. And for a lot of you, that means that you aren't able to take your business full time. So by having different streams of income, you're able to lessen the risk of a slow month, and it gives you an opportunity for maybe some more recurring income that comes in month after month. And also, different streams of income can help you bring in more money, which would allow you to take your business full time, maybe allow you to pay to delegate some work and outsource some of your work. So it's helpful to think about different streams of income, multiple streams of income for your business, for stability, consistency, and for growth. And I've seen this with Ellen Company. I was trying to total them up, over 8 different sources of income in the last 3 years of business. So I do have some experience in this topic. I started out Ellen Company selling planners. And so I had a shop. I was selling a tangible product, but I had no audience. And so I had some sales come in when I launched in January, which makes sense for a planner business, but then came February and in March and no sales were rolling in, or very minimal sales, and I knew that I couldn't run a business just off of planners. So I decided to bite the bullet and offer design services, and that's when I started offering logo design and Squarespace site design. And that's when more money started to come in, and I was able to take my business full-time from my design services. And that was about 2 or 3 months into my business. That was probably in March when no sales were coming in from those planners, and I ditched the idea of a planner and ran with design services. And then I guess it was in July or August of that same year, 2014, I started a subscription library. I had tons of documents and printables that were sitting on my computer that I had designed for other people and for myself. And so I thought, I'll just put them on a website and allow people to log in, and they can pay monthly, and I can get some recurring revenue coming in. And so I did that subscription library. It didn't take me much time to create new products, and I still have the library up on my site right now. So that has been a great source of recurring income, and I'll talk about subscription libraries in a second. Then as my blog started to pick up, people asked me to speak at conferences and workshops, so I was able to make a little bit of money through speaking engagements. I then offered online courses as my audience started to grow, and that was a great source and is still a great source of passive income. I started to venture into affiliate programs where I promote different products, usually products, some services, and get a commission for every sale that I make through those. Now I also offer coaching services and in-person classes in Charlotte through a business called Skill Pop. So you can see a lot of different income sources coming in, and because of all of these different sources of income, I've been able to bring on 2 assistants, I've been able to bring in more money, and even cut back on some of the services that I've been offering as well. So just to give you an idea of what this could look like for your business, hopefully not overwhelm you, but just to show you that different sources of income can be extremely helpful for your business. All right, so something to note before I dive into these 9 different ideas is that I'm not encouraging you to implement all 9 of them. Hopefully you didn't just look at my own experience and all of my sources of income and think that you need those tomorrow. That took place over 3 years, and I've even started to cut back on some of those. But I am encouraging you to think through the needs of your audience. Always be thinking about, what does my audience need? What are they asking me for? What are they interested in? And how can my business realistically meet those needs through one of these 9 ideas that I'm going to share? So you might already be offering one or thinking of offering one stream of income, but I would encourage you after this webinar and for the foreseeable future to always be thinking about the needs of your audience and how you can meet them strategically, realistically through all the different sources of income I'm about to share, and kind of pick and choose from this list. So income source number 1 is what a lot of you might already be doing, and that's offering one-time services. So whether you are a designer, a photographer, an event planner, a baker, actually, I would love to hear what you do. Leave it in the comments. I'd love to see what your business is about. But a lot of you start with services, and this is really helpful when you're just starting out. And I actually recommend starting with services because you don't have to have a huge audience in order to get clients. Awesome. So a lot of you are in branding, web design, art teacher. Awesome. Knit and crochet accessories, graphic and web designer, nonprofit. Awesome. Thank you all for the feedback. So a lot of you are probably already offering services, and that's great. Like I said, it's really helpful when you're just starting out to offer services because you don't need a large audience. The trouble with services is that if you don't have recurring clients, or you are having trouble booking clients, that income is going to fluctuate. One month you might finish a project or 3 projects and a lot of money will come in, or one month you might book 2 or 3 projects and get that retainer of 50% down or whatever that looks like. But you aren't getting that consistent income month after month unless you're implementing something like my 2-week process or a 3-week process or something like that. So it fluctuates. So if you have a slow month, you might be in trouble if you're trying to give yourself a paycheck. So unless you're charging a really high amount or you've really streamlined your process, one-time services can be hard because that income isn't recurring. It kind of fluctuates by how many people book you. So positive, really great when you're just starting out. Negative, it's usually a one-time payment, or maybe it's split up into a couple payments, and it's not that streamlined, recurring, consistent revenue. So a lot of you are probably right here, which is great. And you might consider adding on subscription services. So again, these don't require a large audience. You don't need to have thousands and thousands of followers in order to book clients. But if it's a subscription service like coaching, where you charge people a monthly fee, or maybe for some of you who are web designers, keeping up someone's website and making design changes. When you create a subscription service, you're creating that consistent recurring revenue time and time again, month after month after month. And you can even require people, like I do with my coaching program, to put 3 months down or commit to 3 months so that I know that those payments are coming in. And two, not only that, but with my coaching, I want to make sure that people see the results and are willing to put in the work. So that's nice, consistent, recurring revenue. And like I said a moment ago, it's often a really good addition to the one-time service work as well, because that way you have that recurring revenue. So this would be an easy add-on if you are currently offering services. A subscription service would be an easy add-on to maybe some of the services that you are already offering. So when I was offering brand design, in order to switch up my packages, I started offering brand design for collateral items for clients on a 3-month basis. So they could hire me. I would offer to do like 10 hours of design work for them per month and charge them accordingly. They would sign a contract, and they could come to me and say, I need these things designed this month, and I would design for them. So maybe think through some ways that might make sense for you if you're offering services. Number 3, a subscription library. So instead of subscriptions for services, this would be a subscription for online products. So this works really well if you have a little bit larger audience, because this is passive income. So what that means is that you're making money without having to do more work. So for me, I will do the same amount of work for the Ellen Company library, whether I have 3 subscribers or 300 subscribers, because I'm putting the same number of files, templates, workbooks in there, and I just need to promote it and market it so that I can get more people on board and generate that passive income, get that consistent recurring revenue. And I use TinyPass, or now it's called Piano, for my subscription library. It takes care of all the payments. It bills people monthly, bills them $6.99 a month, which $6.99 might not seem like a lot, but if you have hundreds of people purchasing and subscribing to it, then that's a good amount of income that comes in month after month after month with not a ton of extra work on your part. So if you have something that is like a digital download, music, photos, anything that is available online, then a subscription library might be a really good option for you. Again, a lot of these ideas that I'm about to share with you, apart from services, work really well if you've focused on growing your audience, because the more people you're able to bring on board, the better. You're not doing any extra work, but you're making more money from it. So think about how you might be able to use a subscription library and get creative with it for your business. You can also do a subscription library to content. You can do it to video lessons. You can get really creative with it. So think about what this might look like for your business. Number 4, tangible products. So I mean like tangible products that you sell from a shop, whether it's an Etsy shop, an online shop, and you are sending them the product. This is anything that somebody can't download or access online. And so like my planners, when I first started, were tangible products. And one of the downsides of tangible products, and I say downside, I think it's really before I get to that, I think it is easy for us to want to sell tangible products, especially when we're creatives. I love seeing the tangible. I love a printed planner. I have apps on my phone. They're great, but I still use my planner. I like to hold things, and I like to see something that I create. I don't know. I just love the tangible. But there are a lot of overhead costs and shipping costs, and there's a lot that goes into affordably producing your products. And the trouble with tangible products is that income isn't recurring, and it usually fluctuates by seasons. It fluctuates by month. One month around Christmas, you might get a ton of orders, and then come March, no orders are coming in. So it can be really hard to launch a business solely off of tangible products. People do it, but it usually works best if you already have an audience of people who are willing to purchase from you. The good thing about tangible products is that you do have an opportunity for wholesale too. So you have an opportunity to sell your products to other businesses for them to sell, which is great. My friend Alyssa from Paris Chic Boutique has done a fantastic job, or now it's called PCB Home, but she has done a fantastic job of starting a product-based business, and now she does wholesale for Magnolia Market, which is just amazing, and Anthropologie and all sorts of stores. If you aren't following along with her, you really should. She is awesome for the product-based businesses. Yeah, Kate says, I love PCB Home. I do too. Alyssa Thiel, and she's from PCB Home. If somebody wants to link to her, that would be awesome. But she has beautiful products. She's known for her pillows with hand lettering on them, and now she offers a lot more. But she does a great job of having a shop and doing well from the shop. A lot of work, a lot of overhead costs, a lot of moving parts, but she's done a fantastic job. Thank you, Kate, for adding it there. All right, so tangible products, I wouldn't necessarily recommend right off the gate offering products and trying to, have a full-time business from it, unless you can get a really good, you can make a really good profit from it. But if you've already started a product-based business, you might implement one of these other options to kind of stabilize your income. All right, online products. So these are the ones that you can download, similar to a subscription library, but this is kind of a one-time purchase. So you might take one of those digital downloads or videos, or it could be music or audio files or whatever it could be. Get creative with it. Y'all are creatives. And sell it on your site. Again, this works best with larger audiences because, again, you create it once and try to get as many people to buy it as possible. And it's a source of passive income. So the more people you have following along with you, the easier time you'll have trying to sell online products. Just like with a regular shop, this income isn't recurring. It fluctuates by month, but it is passive. So if you create something like an ebook, the same amount of work goes into creating the ebook, whether 3 people buy or 300 again, but you don't know exactly when they're going to buy if it's always up on your site. So it can fluctuate, but it might be something you have going on the side, and it's just a plus if you see people purchase it from time to time on your site. So think about how you might be able to use online products like templates, files, like I said, videos. I have an online workshop up on my site that people purchase from time to time. It's about Squarespace template, or changing your Squarespace template and customizing your site. And it's just a source of easy income. All right. 6. Slide 10 is affiliate marketing. So again, this works really well with large audiences because a lot of times the more people that you have click through links through blog posts and social media, the more income you're going to generate. It's passive income. So the way affiliate marketing works, for example, I am an affiliate of many programs that I use and love, and one of them is Crowdcast, where I'm hosting this webinar right now. I love Crowdcast and I'm an affiliate for them. So anytime that I mention Crowdcast in a blog post or even in webinars and I share a link, I share my affiliate link. It's a special link just for me. And if anybody goes through that link and purchases a subscription to Crowdcast, I get a percentage of the sale. And so they usually pay out on a monthly basis. And if someone keeps that subscription, then I continue to make income from referring people to them, if that makes sense. So affiliate marketing is a fantastic, easy way to make passive income if you've already worked on growing your audience. And it can be, like I said a moment ago, recurring and consistent depending on the affiliate program. A lot of fashion bloggers do this through what is it called? ourstyle.me. So yes, and Marissa is on there. Marissa is one of my assistants, guys. She's sweet enough to tune into these webinars. But affiliate marketing can be extremely helpful and a great way to make some passive income, easily make some passive income. All right, I'm flying through these, which means we're going to have a lot of time for questions. And I saw many rolling in, so that's awesome. Okay, 7, online courses. This seems to be a popular one nowadays. And again, it's a source of passive income. You create the course once, try to get as many people to sign up for it as possible, doing the same amount of work. Again, it works well with large audiences because the more people you have sign up, the more money you're able to make. And usually if you have a larger audience, the odds are is that more people will purchase. The hard thing about online courses is money comes in chunks. It isn't recurring income. It's going to fluctuate. So unlike subscriptions, you know, your income is coming in every so often. And with online courses, you have kind of 2 options. You can create an evergreen course that people can purchase at any time, or you might offer a course once a year, only open registration for a certain period of time, and then close it until the next time you launch. Evergreen is great because people can purchase at any time, so that income is coming throughout the year, but you have to do a really good job of promoting it and bringing people's attention to it, or you have to have a lot of website traffic in order for people to find it and see it. Whereas if you just launch it once a year, you're kind of creating a sense of urgency for people. But either way, that income is only coming in chunks. It isn't recurring. It'll fluctuate. So with my courses, it's nice because income comes in all at once, but then I have to do my due diligence of spreading it out and in terms of budgeting. So on the back end, online courses can be great. It's just not recurring. Number 8, and feel free to ask me questions about each one of these options if you have more questions in the questions and answers section right below here, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. 8 is speaking engagements. So speaking at conferences or workshops, people might ask you to come and speak at meetups, and oftentimes all your expenses are covered for you. A lot of workshops and conferences will pay for your travel out to wherever it is that you're speaking, and usually pay for a hotel room and maybe even food, and then pay you on top of that, which is awesome. And speaking engagements kind of increase your credibility, and they position you as an expert. They give you an opportunity to network. I like speaking engagements, not even so much for the money, but also because I get to meet Ellen Company readers and followers in person, and I love it. It's a funny thing having an online business, and it's a great thing, but I wish that I could see all of you tuning in right now in person instead of being alone in my apartment talking to you through the internet. So speaking engagements are great, not just for the money, but also to get to meet people. But the income isn't recurring unless you do a ton of speaking engagements. And speaking engagements take a lot of time, not just to prepare and not just the time that it takes to be at the conference and or workshop, but also just traveling and everything else. So think about that as you might be considering speaking engagements, how much money you're really getting paid when it boils down to it. But I do it more for the experience and not necessarily for the money. And number 9 is workshops and in-person events. You might host one yourself. I have a lot of friends who do. Kat from Dear Sweetheart Events, she does the Creative at Heart workshop. Michaela and Ashley from Bloom host their workshop. So it's a great way, again, to meet people, and you have the opportunity to bring in money through workshops and in-person events. Again, it works really well with larger audiences because you need people who can come. You need to find people who can come. And so if you have a bigger audience, you're increasing the likelihood that people will come to your event. But there are a lot of overhead costs with workshops and in-person events, especially if you have multiple days and the income isn't recurring. So just like online courses or products or anything like that, the income is coming in one big chunk instead of recurring, consistent income. So those are the 9 ideas, and I flew through them, hopefully to give you all tons of time to ask questions, because I saw so many of those coming in. So just really quickly to go through these one more time. One-time services, which many of you all are already doing. Subscription services, consider how you might be able to charge monthly and designate a certain number of hours to service work to create more recurring, consistent income. Subscription library, again, works really well with large audiences. It's passive income. It's consistent recurring revenue. This one is probably one of the easiest options out of all of these on here. Tangible products, again, a lot of overhead costs. You have to worry about shipping. Income isn't recurring, but you do have the opportunity for wholesale, and you can make a good amount of money that way. Online products, it's a more passive income source. It isn't recurring. It can fluctuate by month, but you do the same amount of work no matter how many people sign up. Affiliate marketing, partnering with other brands and promoting them in return for some sort of commission. Online courses, a lot of upfront work and a lot of upfront prep, and there's kind of a lot of risk involved because you might be putting a ton of time and effort into developing a course only to have 5 people buy it, or you could have, again, 5,000 people buy it. So online courses can be a great source of passive income, but you're kind of taking a risk and a gamble on how many people will buy. Speaking engagements can be a source of income. You'd have to be doing a lot of speaking engagements in order for them to be a really big source of income, but it is a way to diversify your income and bring in, it's another income stream. And workshops and in-person events. A lot of work to do, but if you are an awesome event planner and you can try to cut down on overhead costs, you can make a sizable income through workshops and in-person events too. Kaya asks, do retainers fall into the subscription category? Yes. So I would say that would be more of a subscription service, having clients on retainer. Great question. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the questions that you all have left below. We have 17 of them. I'll try to get through as many as I can. Jessica asks, can you please share some ideas on what I can sell as passive income? I like the idea of selling digital products/courses, but sometimes I feel like almost everything has been done already. I'm worried to invest time in this stuff at the beginning stage of my business, as I'm not sure what would make enough money for the little time I have to spare. Thanks, Lauren. So yes, passive income sources would be something like online products, digital products, courses, subscription library, all of those that I mentioned above. One of the hard things about adding on different sources of income is the time component. So I would suggest doing it in this order. Services, maybe subscription services, just to streamline that income and make it more consistent. And then consider offering something like a subscription library, online products, something that doesn't take you a ton of time to create, but you can continue to promote and try to get people to purchase. It could be something like an online workshop where they pay some money and you teach them something that doesn't take a ton of time to do. Something like an online course is going to take you a lot of time. And some of you need to spend some time developing your audience and growing your audience through blogging, through webinars, through social media, blogging is a fantastic way to grow your audience. I know I've been harping on that a lot lately, but I can't stress the importance of it enough. I only got speaking engagement requests because of the blog, and a lot of my income is coming in through the blog, so I can't stress that enough. So some of you may need to take some time to develop your audience before creating another stream of income. And a fantastic thing about growing your audience first and focusing on growing your audience before even launching anything new is that your audience will ask you for things. So like I said at the beginning of this webinar, I would encourage you to get to know your audience and find out what their needs are, and then look through this list, refer back to this list. I'm going to share it on the blog. All these LChat webinars are available on the site, so you can come back to them later, and I'm going to share the slides too. But come back to this list and then think, what can I offer that is going to be helpful for my audience and meet some of their needs in a creative way, and that's realistic for you. Something like a subscription library, I add to the library 2 or 3 times each month. It's actually fun for me. I enjoy designing things for the library, and then it kind of runs itself from there, which is really nice. As far as offering something or being afraid to offer something because you feel like everyone's doing it already, I wouldn't worry about that. I think a lot of times we follow along with other people who do something similar to what we do. So you might follow along with a lot of other designers or event planners or web designers, whatever it might be. And so you think that everyone in your audience surely is following along with them too. The thing is that they're not. Some of them might be, but a lot of them probably aren't. So I would encourage you to try to be creative in meeting the needs of your audience. But if it's already been done before, that's okay. Your audience isn't following along with everyone that you're following along with. And it doesn't have to be a workbook every time. It doesn't have to be an ebook every time. Like I said, it could be a video. It could be audio. It could be stock images. It could be website templates in a subscription. I don't know. You can get creative with it. But yeah, so I hope that's helpful for you, Jessica. I would suggest building your audience and then looking into some of those passive income options, and don't be afraid of doing it if it's already been done before. Just put your own spin on it. Emily says, do you have experience with Etsy? Can that be a viable option in creating more income, or is it more trouble than it's worth? Etsy can absolutely be a viable source of income. I started out with an Etsy shop selling prints before I ever started Ellen Company. And there are some positives to Etsy and some negatives to Etsy. Positives are that if you have no audience, your products can still get found on Etsy. Downside is that your products are going to be right next to your competitors' products on Etsy, whereas if you have your own shop on your site, then your competitors aren't on your site as well. But Etsy is a great way to get a great place to get exposure for your products, and they also do digital downloads, which is awesome. I would highly recommend, if you're considering using Etsy to sell your products, go to morganneal.com. Morgan was one of my coaching clients, but she is an Etsy pro, and she is awesome at getting found on Etsy and has so many tutorials and tips on her site about how to get found on Etsy and how to set up your shop and all of that. So if someone could find, I think it's morganneal.com. You can, Neald is, see, I'll put it in the comments, Morgan Neald. If someone could find that URL and drop it there, that would be really helpful for Emily. You're welcome. But Morgan is a fantastic resource on how to sell through Etsy. I used Etsy about 5 years ago, and it's changed so much, so you don't probably want my advice on Etsy, but I definitely don't think you should rule it out, but I do think you should be strategic. Thank you, Marissa, and thank you, Fem Creations, for dropping those links in there. All right. Catherine said, as a solopreneur, the idea of diversifying income is appealing, but I'd love your thoughts on how to do this when you're working on your own or with limited help, or when this is a side hustle. Blogging, social media, offering services, and creating digital products all take up limited time. Yes, they do. And I can totally relate to that. I have assistants now, but I've only had their help for a little over a year now. And before that, I was running it all on my own and doing it part-time as well. So I can relate. I would say to start off, if you're not already, offering services would be the way to go. Consider subscription services to streamline your income and make it more consistent. Digital products might take some time. You might offer one at a time as it makes sense for your business. But like I said, I would also put some time into, I'd put more time into blogging and social media while offering services than I would with passive income sources just yet. I would spend time on growing your audience before offering passive income, because you're going to have an easier time coming up with passive income ideas, and your audience will probably ask you for things. It's easier to figure out what your audience needs and wants and then create a product or a service than it is to create a product or a service and then try to find an audience. And when it does come to blogging or social media, think about how you might be able to repurpose content. When your time is limited, it's helpful to get creative about how you're spending your time and how you can repurpose content. So as an example, for these L chats, I spend an hour on here every Thursday sharing content with you all, but I don't just let it sit here in Crowdcast. I also take this webinar, and my assistant, Marissa, will take this video and send it off to rev.com and have a transcript made. And then we'll do a blog post on it, share the slides, share the video, and also share the transcript below it. We'll put it on YouTube, so that's kind of social media, so that more people can watch it on YouTube. And then we put it on the website as well under the L chat section. Yeah, and so Marissa put the transcripts on there too. And Annie said she just applied to transcribe for Rev. That's awesome. So think about how you might repurpose your content and just get smarter about how you're using it. Maybe sign up for something like Buffer, where you can use the same content and push it out to a bunch of different social media platforms. So you might have one post that goes to Facebook, Twitter, and maybe even Instagram, so that all of your audiences see it there. So just try to get really creative with how you're repurposing your content. And really, if you're blogging, you have a lot of content to share on social media or other platforms as well. So I would focus first and foremost on blogging, and then as you start to grow your audience more and more, then offer more passive income options that I mentioned in this webinar. Hope that makes sense. Great question, Catherine. Jackie said, I know how to leverage my strengths to create different versions of my services, which lets me diversify. I also know how to leverage my strengths on different social media platforms and customize content based on those platforms. But it's overwhelming to search for effective ways to monetize on those platforms themselves. Are there meaningful ways to do that, or is it all going to be gross corporate advertising noise? No, it doesn't have to be gross corporate advertising noise, and I am not a big fan of being salesy or sleazy on social media trying to sell my services, products, and that sort of thing. My philosophy and method for using, or I guess strategy for using social media, is to always use social media to build trust and to point people back to my website. My website is where all of my services are listed, all my products are listed. I try to drive traffic, use social media to drive traffic back to my website and my blog. And there I can organically market my products and services. But for me, I use most of these outlets just to build trust. And then when I am launching a course or I'm launching something like that, it isn't as gross, or it isn't that corporate advertising noise, because hopefully I'm giving away so much free content and building trust and positioning it in a way where here is how this offering can help you, instead of, I don't know, the sleazy, salesy ways of going about it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would start using those platforms as a funnel back to your website for your services and products. So you can also share your products and services in a really organic way. Share a behind the scenes look at the work that you're doing. Ask people. One thing that I used to do a lot when I was doing a lot more design work on Instagram was to show them the 3 different logo options that I'd come up with after my client had already chosen one, and just ask people's opinion on which one they would choose. And it got people kind of involved in the process, excited to see which one they ended up choosing. So there's a lot of ways, and I'm still promoting, hey, here's my design work that you get, I'm trying to share it with you and create interest in it, but it wasn't salesy or sleazy. So I think that's one of the benefits of content marketing, is that you don't have to be sleazy or salesy. And Annie asked, where do you point people back to on your site? Landing homepage, specific landing page, or talking topic? A lot of times I'll point them back to the blog, because the blog is where I'm talking about a lot of these topics. I have a lot of opt-ins on the blog where I can get people's email addresses. Now there's something called Linktree that I've been using on Instagram, and probably need to spend a little more time learning more about, but it allows you to link to multiple pages on your website. So I have one that goes to the blog, I think one that goes to my About page, and one that goes to LChats. I also am thinking about adding to Linktree one of my content upgrades. So my business playbook is coming out tomorrow, and it shows you exactly how to create a business plan for your creative business. Those of you who follow along with the newsletter have probably already seen that content, but I condensed it all into one big workbook for you. So I'm thinking about putting that in Linktree as well, and I'd get email addresses from that. So you can be strategic about where you point people. A lot of times I'm trying to point them back to blog posts to build trust and promote my services and products in a more organic way. I hope that's helpful. Great question. Nev asks, I think intuitively what you are proposing makes sense. However, as a solopreneur or a very small business, 0 to 5 people, you'll have to do a lot of convincing to show me how this is actually viable and the right path. I think small creative businesses should be doing less diversifying and more specializing in one thing, but I'm intrigued. And Jackie left a comment. She said, awesome comment, Nev. I agree. I'm all for specializing. Being really good at something that caters to very specific niches is far more powerful with many dimensions of payoff. That's why I like the idea of diversifying, meaning doing the same thing, just having different ways to do it. And I agree with that. And that's why I read that comment. I don't think that you have to be doing a million different things in a million different topics. I think that if you're smart, diversifying can mean taking one of these routes within the same kind of niche. So yes, I do graphic design and I have services for it, but it made total sense for me to take some of the work I had already done and put it in a subscription library and make money off of it. So I don't think that you need to do all of these ideas. But I do think that if you implement 1 or 2 as time goes on and as time allows, I think that you can streamline your income. For me, I have been able to pay my assistants purely because of my subscription library and still make a profit from it. So by having that subscription service, I have been able to bring on people and delegate more tasks and take on more clients just by having that subscription library there. So just an example of how something really small, not taking a ton of more time, can help your business. And I'm not trying to explore into a different field. It's still within the design realm. It still makes sense. People still know what I do, but I'm able to bring in more money from it. So great question. I think based on the 9 examples I shared, you might be able to find one, maybe a source of more passive income that can bring in more money as well. All right. Brenna said, I love having different streams of income and I'm always looking for ways to add to my portfolio/creative hats. Doing this has helped me build my skill set and grow in ways that I would not have if I had just stuck to one single business and product set. I would love to hear some ideas on building more residual, self-sustaining streams of income, as with digital products, etc. Can't wait. So I hope that this webinar helped you consider ideas. Maybe you're watching the replay, Brenna. I hope that this has helped you or will help you in the future. Also, something that I should note, a lot of the biggest, most successful business owners learned very early on that they needed to differentiate and bring in more streams of income. There's an awesome article on Inc.com, and I need to hunt it down and search for it, but it goes to show how people like Richard Branson and other really successful business owners started diversifying right from the beginning. And they've ventured in, like Richard Branson has done so many different things. Virgin Mobile, he had a record business. I mean, he's done a bunch of different things, but he wasn't afraid to diversify right from the beginning. So just throwing that out there. All right, Kim said, for a predominantly service-based time/effort heavy business, what passive income passive stream diversification, there we go, can be creatively fulfilling that has true benefit as a value add service rather than just small token material? So yeah, that's a great question, and that might be different depending on what your business is, Kim. A lot of times there's small freebies in subscription services or passive income streams. But if you're giving, I'm a big fan of content. Oh, awesome, Kate. Thank you for finding that that article. Sorry, I got sidetracked, but that is exactly the article I was talking about. Small token material. Yeah, I think a lot of times content can be really helpful teaching people something, especially if you're a service provider. Yeah, it just depends on your business. For you, Kim, if you're already offering services, you might offer subscription services. That isn't necessarily passive income, but it might be a little bit more creatively fulfilling. I'd love to hear more about your business. If you're tuning in live, if you can add it in the comments, and that would help me come up with a few ideas that that could add true benefit and be something a little greater than just the small token material. I like how you said that. Great question. Lonnie says, do you suggest mentoring in an area that you are already teaching through a newsletter or a blog, for example? How do you go about offering mentoring as an income stream? So an income or mentoring can come through as like coaching services or consultations that you can charge. You could do single mentoring sessions. You could do something more subscription-based, like I was talking about, like my coaching program. I think that's another really positive benefit of blogging is that you're already positioning yourself as an expert on a certain topic or talking about a topic often that people would probably want to hire you for to teach them how to do it themselves. I started offering coaching simply because I was getting a lot of questions from people, or people would email me and ask me for specific advice on how to implement the content I was sharing for their business. And so I saw that a lot of people were asking questions, and I couldn't spend all day long in my inbox answering questions for free, although I love helping people. And so I started offering coaching. So if you want to eventually offer coaching or mentoring as an income stream, my advice to you would be through your newsletter, through a blog, through webinars, through podcasting, start teaching on that topic already to an audience. And then after a while, maybe 6 months, then try to launch a coaching program or start offering mentoring. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Annie says, I already use affiliate and referral links in blog posts, digital download products on Etsy, PDF patterns, so I'd love some new ideas besides patterns and ebooks, and have been researching doing videos, income via ads or pay to view on YouTube or my Squarespace website. I've also considered teaching on Skillshare and selling books on Amazon. Where do you recommend focusing limited time to get the biggest bang for your hours invested? That is an awesome question. I think the best way to focus your time would be to grow your audience. And I say it time and time again, but blogging is really helpful for that. And then launch a passive income source. So for me, I put probably a year and a half into blogging before really launching a course. And then because I knew that if I developed the trust with my audience, I would be able to sell out pretty quickly. I wanted to sell 40 seats to the Illustrator course. So I would start there because you're going to get a bigger bang for your hours in the long run if you start developing your audience first. But after that, I would think about passive income sources like the ones I mentioned earlier in the webinar. So yeah, I hope that's helpful for you, Annie. And she said, haha, perfect. Probably what takes me the most effort. Yes, it does take a lot of effort. It definitely isn't easy to blog. But the great thing about blogging is that you develop the trust, you build the audience, and then people are consistently linking to old posts and pinning them. So you're still getting the website traffic, and your audience is just continuing to grow exponentially. So you're able to cut back later and still make even more money if you put the time and effort into it now. So great question. Awesome. And Kate has been talking too about Creative Market in the comments, which thank you, Kate, for mentioning that. You can also sell not just on your own site, but digital downloads and online products on other sites too, like Creative Market. Or you can teach classes on sites like Udemy and those to make money as well. So that's another income source. Film Creation says, what did you use to build the membership library on your website? I used what was once called TinyPass, and I am adding it in the comments, but now it's called Piano. So either one of those, piano.io, and it just puts up a wall where people have to log in order to access the content. So that's the one that I use. I think there are other ones out there. If anybody else knows of any other paywalls or anything like that, or a way to host a membership library. There's also MemberSpace if you use Squarespace that puts up a paywall as well that you can use to protect your content. What can you teach your classes on? Craig asks. I use Teachable. There's also Teachery, and you could host your own course on Squarespace and use MemberSpace to protect it too. And I actually have a blog post on that. Online courses, Julia asked that. I didn't even see that. Online courses, what format do you use? I use Teachable, and I switched over just recently for my Adobe Illustrator course, and I really, really love it. I did host my courses on the Ellen Company site because I loved that it all looked consistent, and I already knew how to use Squarespace. It was easy to use, but my content wasn't super well protected, and I didn't like having to piece things together with payments and everything. So Teachable is awesome because I can host my entire course on there. They take care of payments. I can offer promo codes. I can see analytics. I can see stats on who has finished certain modules, which is awesome. And I can set up recurring payments for payment plans. So Teachable is a fantastic resource if you plan to set up a course. I'm a big fan of it. Thank you, Marissa, for sharing that MemberSpace post. Kristen says, one way that I would really like to be earning is through working with brands on my blog and social media accounts, but most brands require thousands of followers for that. Since I don't believe in the follow/unfollow method and my niche is not everyone's cup of tea, Christian lifestyle, my social media growth is happening, but very slowly. How should I go about growing faster so that I can start applying for sponsored posts with bigger brands when I'm in that situation? I'm going to sound like a broken record. Blogging. Because a lot of people ask me how I grew my Instagram following or other social media followings, and I can truly tell you that blogging is one of the best ways to do it. Blogging has pointed people, it's funny, I'll see someone, follow me on Twitter, follow on Instagram, Pinterest all at once, and I know they've been on the site. But I would recommend interacting with other Christian lifestyle bloggers or people in that niche and promoting each other, linking to each other. Networking is a fantastic way to grow your audience. A simple mention by someone who has 10,000 followers can easily get you 100 new followers of people who are already in your niche. So be strategic about who you're pairing up with. You might promote other Christian brands or something like that, and maybe they'll link to you on their social media account. So, and Paige said, followed your constant advice to blog, and it's absolutely paid off. Woohoo! I'm so happy to hear that. Blogging definitely takes a bunch of time, but I promise you the payoffs are well worth it. And Paige said that all of the stats in her business have picked up since blogging consistently. So I would, if you aren't doing that already, Kristen, I would highly recommend it. These are great questions, guys. I'm going to answer a couple more. We're almost out of time. Celeste, good to see you in here. She says, can you comment on the pros/cons of diversifying one's brand while diversifying income streams? For example, I am a designer. I have a design company. That is straightforward. I'm often asked to do business development services. I would like to create some products and services related to business development. Should I create a sister brand, maybe using my as the brand name instead of Design Co. Brand name, or should I house it all under Design Co? What are your thoughts? So I would say, Celeste, that it all depends on your ideal client. So if your ideal client would benefit from the designs portion of your business and business development, which I kind of suspect they would because you probably work with a lot of designers, then I say go for it. That's why I started sharing business advice, is because it all fell under kind of the same umbrella. So think about whether it makes sense for your ideal client and if it makes sense for your mission statement. If not, then you might have a sister brand off of it, and that would work too. But I think if your ideal client is the same and it all falls under that same mission, then go for it. Yeah, let me know how it goes too. Glad to see you in here. And this is the last one I'll answer, but the replay will be up on the site. And I started a Facebook group too. I don't know if you all knew this. I started a Facebook group for the community around Ellen Company. So if you have any questions related to this, ask them in the Facebook group. I'll do a post on it, and feel free to leave questions there and we can all get feedback from each other. So Katie says, when considering subscription/coaching services, how do you determine the length of the coaching contract? I love the idea, but without offering it before, I'm unsure how many months of coaching is best for my audience. I started with 3, and honestly, I might increase it, but I started with 3 because I wanted people to be able to put in the time. I knew that it would take them at least 3 months to see progress in what I was encouraging them to do, rather than 2 months and maybe not see a lot of progress, or 1 month and then say, I'm not seeing any results, and then cancel. I knew that it would take some time to be consistent with the advice that I was giving, or for them to consistently take action on it. So just think about, maybe you start with 3. I think that's a great amount of time, and then maybe increase or decrease from there. But again, and maybe even Katie, remind me in the comment section what you do, because it might depend on what you do and what you're coaching as well, or what the topic is. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in today. I hope that you at least got a few ideas for what you can be offering and how you can diversify your income. And if you think of any other ways to diversify your income that I may not have shared, leave me a note in the Facebook group. If someone could leave a comment in the comment section with a link to that Facebook group, that would be awesome. Or you can go to the Ellen Company blog. In the sidebar, there's a link to the Facebook group as well. Thank you all for taking the time to tune in today, and I hope to see you in another LChat very soon. Bye, guys.